Thank you, beloved. Thank you. I didn't even realize I was muted. I didn't know how that happened. Hold on. Let me make sure I have the right mic on also while I'm checking. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So, anyway, all I was saying was thank you all for tuning in once again. Shout out to everyone in the chat. And that crazy beach area said, there you go. Okay. So we're going to be talking about shadow work today. Now we've talked about it before, and just a few days ago, I reposted a premiere video, about I think the first time I spoke to you all about shadow work. But today, hey, Orange Moon Timber Dan in the house, all right. And so, but today I want to talk about it some more because I want you to ask yourself, is your shadow work working for you? Because you see, some people claim to be doing shadow work, but they're really not. They may be doing something, but it isn't shadow work. You see, when someone tells me they're doing shadow work and they still are surrounded by negativity, when they're still negative, petty, messy, and they're hanging around people that are the same, well, you're clearly not doing shadow work. You're clearly not doing shadow work, because one of the main things about shadow work is learning how to get rid of past traumas, to get rid of triggers, and, to be a more positive, high vibrational person. And guess what? Positive, high vibrational people do not tend to have any type of enjoyment from being around negativity or negative people. Okay, because remember, energy is absolutely contagious. So if you're trying to be positive and you're hanging out with a bunch of low down, dirty, nefarious, negative people, how do you think that's going to fare? Okay, how do you think that's going to fare? At the end of the day, that's not good. So you have to remove yourself from certain activities, from certain people as well. Now, you can deal with them at a distance, but just to be around them constantly, talking to them every day, hanging out with them every day and all of that, you don't have to do that. You may work with people who are negative. Well, you're at work. You don't have to really engage them much at work other than to talk about, what needs to be done. But when you go to lunch, you don't have to go to lunch with them. If you go out for drinks after work, you don't have to invite them. You don't have to deal with them once you get home. If they call, you don't have to answer your phone. So you need to limit your time with negativity and negative people. Now, we can't avoid it completely because there's negative energy everywhere. There's negative people just about everywhere. But you can absolutely decide for yourself how much you choose to engage them. Some of these negative people are so negative that your happiness, your joy bothers them. That's a tale, or that's a sure sign of misery loving company. Some people are not happy with themselves and they don't like to see other people happy either. So they project their misery and whatever they're going to that's negative onto other people. Okay. Hey, Desmond. So Claudette said, very true. Absolutely. So I don't like to deal with negative people. Once I see someone's negative, I'll try to encourage them, to give them some positive feedback, to help them be a more positive, high vibrational person. If that doesn't work and they're still doing the same old, I don't have time for it. At this point, it's a wrap. Okay. It's a no for me. I don't have time for it. Okay, that crazy beach Aries said, and your misery is their bliss. Yes, it absolutely is. And here's the thing. How many of you, once in the chat, how many of you have ever dealt with someone or known someone, whether it's friends, family, co-workers, whoever, someone who does not really like you for no apparent reason, for nothing that you've done or said to or about them? But they just don't seem to like you. And they'll say disparaging things about you to other people. And see, when people do that, what they're trying to do is they realize that they can't control you, and they can't control your personality. So what they then try to do is to control the way that other people view you. A lot of ones in the chat. Okay, exactly. So you need to stay away from those people, because you know what the problem with them is? The problem is your spirit may be irritating their demons. If someone gets triggered by your very presence, and you've not done or said anything out of the way to them, not offended them or whatever, and they just don't like to see you coming around, they just don't like you to be in the same circle, they just always have something negative to say when you speak, they always have something to point out about you as a character flaw, they go and talk about you to other people, saying things that are not even true, that are baseless, unfounded. Those are people that are miserable. Those are people that are trying to control the narrative of you. They're trying to make other people who may think highly of you, who may favor you, they're trying to make them look at you in a negative way, because that's what they want you to be seen in, because that's how they feel, because they're hating on you. Their demons are hating on your spirit. Okay, hey Ahmadiyyah. Orange Moon said, my twin sister, the narcissistic one. Wow, I bet that's interesting to have one twin that's narcissistic and the other one is not. Narcissistic people are always interesting to me. They're always interesting to me. Everything is always about them. When you tell them anything that they did wrong or something they said that you didn't care for, and you're just being honest with them about it, not argumentative or combative, but just talking to them in a conversation, they always get on the defense. Do they not? Why is it that narcissistic people always get on the defense? Why is it that they don't like, can't stand, don't ever want to hear constructive criticism? Why is it that no matter what they do, no matter how nefarious it is, someone else is always to blame? It's not my fault. If you hadn't said this, then I wouldn't have done that. Isn't that what narcissistic people do? Everything. Orange Moon said, no, Cap Queen. I know, beloved. Thank you. This is what they do. Everything is about them. You could be telling them, that someone just got sick and so had to go to the hospital. And then they'll say, well, I remember when I got sick last year and this and that. And they'll turn the whole conversation onto them. Nobody asked them about themselves, but they want everything to revolve around them. And they don't like high vibrational people, because narcissistic people tend to be low vibrational. Please pay attention. So now let's talk about how we can tell if our shadow work is working. There's 5 ways you can tell. And here's the thing. When you're doing the work, when you're doing the real shadow work, you're putting forth the effort and all of that, this can be absolutely life-changing for you. It has very good benefits, okay? You grow to love yourselves and others and life in general. You start to manifest the things that you want without fear of resistance. And you get to let go of any type of resentment that you have of things that you did in the past, things that others did to you, or things that you wish that you had done but didn't. I mean, you really start to broaden your horizons. Now, the shadow is the side of yourself that's disconnected and unfelt. It's the part of yourself that's been rejected since childhood and you have no awareness of in some cases. It's integrating the entire spectrum of your being. It's the intentional process of admitting the parts of yourself you've ignored and repressed. You know how some people, they don't see anything wrong with their own behavior. They don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. Thank you, Orange Moon, for your super sticker, beloved, your donation to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. So, some people don't want to relive, or not even relive. They don't want to rehash past events, things that have happened to them that were traumatic, things that made them feel bad about themselves, things that hurt them. They don't want to rehash that. Many of us don't. We don't like to think about it because it's negative. But when you're doing the shadow work, you have to confront those things. You have to confront those things head on, because you see, that's how you let go of them. You can't hold on to these things, because then you find yourself carrying them with you throughout your life. You find yourself carrying them with you into other relationships and to other friendships. You just have these things with you like concrete cinder blocks attached to your feet. They bring you down. They hold you back. They stifle your growth. They keep you stagnant. So if you want to move forward and you want to be a more spiritually in tune person, you have to be actively doing the work Some people think they're spiritual because they do a few meditations, they light a few candles, burn sage. It's a whole lot more than that. It starts from the inside out. You have to be doing the inner work. Okay? That's right. The crazy beach area said true. We tend to block them out. Absolutely, because we don't want to think about it. And it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay not to want to think about certain things because they bring back bad feelings and memories and things like that. But at the end of the day, that's why you do the shadow work. So you can confront those things, deal with them, deal with the root cause of any of the issues that you have about yourself, whether it's low self-esteem, whether it's a shyness, whether it's a fear of failure, whatever it is. It's likely something that happened to you throughout your life or some point in your life that makes you feel the way you feel. So you have to confront these things so that you can move on and move forward. Claudette says, so true. Your spiritual teachings have helped me tremendously. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Orange Moon said, all praise to the Most High, our righteous creator. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. So now I'm going to show you all some videos in a minute from several different people. Now, here's the thing. Does your shadow work work? Well, assuming you've been taking back your projections and doing shadow work prompts, the beginner techniques, and even active imagination. And what are the beginning techniques? The beginning techniques are your your meditation, your visualization, and your affirmations. That's what you start off doing in the beginning. Now, here's how you can tell. Here is how you can tell if your shadow work is working for you. You don't get triggered anymore. Those things that people used to do that triggered you, that bothered you, they no longer trigger you. Okay? Or at least they don't have the power over you. You may still get a little annoyed with some people, little things they do, but they don't cause you to react, to lash out, to go off and get in the whole shouting match. You know how to remain calm. And you just say, you know what? I'm not here for that. So I'm just going to go over here. But you don't have to get angry, triggered, and upset, because now that you're doing your shadow work and it's actively working for you, you're a more calm and peaceful person. You don't fly off the handle. You don't get upset about minuscule, petty little things. But if you're still doing those things, well, your shadow work needs some improvement. Now, what is a trigger? Well, a trigger is a quality or action that someone has or does that emotionally affects you more than it should. If you're allowing other people to trigger you and get a rise out of you, because in life, some people will do these things to you on purpose. They want to get a rise out of you. They want to disrupt your flow of energy. They want to upset you and get you mad. They want to knock you off your square. They try to provoke you. Some people do that just to be nasty. Those are the people that are miserable. And misery loves company. I want you to think about this and ask yourselves, for anyone that's ever hated on you, for anyone that's ever just, done low down things to you or tried to say mean things to make you feel bad about yourself, I want you to ask yourself right now, were those happy people? Were those people who were living their best lives? Were those people who had good jobs, who were financially secure, who had a husband or wife that loved them, that were in healthy relationships? Were those people who were attractive? I guarantee you, the people that did those things to you were none of the above. And if they were only a few of them. But here's the thing, because people who are happy, now, I want you all to remember this. People who are happy, they do not go around trying to steal other people's joy. They do not go around trying to hurt other people's feelings. They do not go around being nasty and mean and bitter. People that are happy with themselves, they carry themselves in a whole nother way. Hundia says, I am not easily triggered. I have an inner voice that works with me in milliseconds to assess the situation. Absolutely. Jonah says they only pretend. That's right. That crazy beach area says facts. Yes. You see, happy people are not the ones hating. Anyone that has time to hate on other people, they're not happy with themselves. You're not. If you're so happy with yourself and you think that you're so much of this and that, which you should. Everyone should think that of themselves. You should think highly of yourself. So if you are happy with yourself, you don't really care what other people are doing. You don't concern yourself with other people's problems, and whatever they have going on. And if someone should go and purchase like a new fancy car, a nice house or whatever, and that's something you want, you desire, if you're a happy person, you're not going to be jealous, envious. You're not going to hate on them. You may go and ask them, say, hey, what did you do to get that nice house? Did you have to fix up your credit? Mine could use some work. That's how you'll be. That's how your attitude will be. But a person who's not happy, they're going to be hating. They're going to be mad. And there's a difference between jealousy and envy. There's a difference, between jealousy and hating. There's a difference between jealousy and hating. Someone may be just a little envious of something that someone has. Let's just say if someone has a Lamborghini and then someone else doesn't. They have like just a regular car. They may say to themselves, I wish I had a Lamborghini too. That's a nice car. And they may be a little envious. They don't mean any harm. They just wish in their heart they yearn for one, right? But that's nothing really wrong with that. Jealousy is an emotion. It's normal. But it depends on how you react when you feel that emotion. That can be the problem. Now, haters, here's the thing. A jealous person who's a little envious, they may see something you have and want it for themselves. But a hater, they can see something you have and they don't have it. So now they don't want you to have it. That's how that goes. They don't want you to have it because they don't have it. That's a hater. So if you have haters, just know this. There is something that you have that they want. Something that you possess that they don't. And sometimes it's not material things. I had someone hating on me years ago. I remember I was back in my 20s and this girl was hating on me. I actually thought we were friends. I was a friend to her, but clearly she was not a friend to me. She was always hating on me. And it took me a while to see it because in my mind, I would make excuses for her because she was my friend, or so I thought. So I would make excuses and people say, oh, she's always hating on you. And I say, no, she's not. That's just how she is. She doesn't mean any harm. But she absolutely was a whole hater. And here's the thing. When I spoke with an older woman who was giving me advice and telling me that this person is a hater, you need to leave them alone. And I said, but why is she hating on me? I don't even have anything for her to hate on. I'm not rich. You know what I'm saying? Why would she be hating on me? I'm just a regular person. And the lady said to me, when people hate on you, sometimes it's not for the material things you have. It's for the person who you are. Sometimes people hate the very essence of your being, of your soul, of your spirit, and that bothers them. You may be a person that everyone likes to be around. People love to talk to you about their problems and get advice from you. You may be someone who's very intelligent, or you may be someone who's very comical. You make people laugh, and when people laugh, they're happy. So people get a joy out of you. And these other people can be sitting on the sidelines just getting mad and infuriated because they don't have that effect on people. So sometimes it's just who you are that bothers some people. You can be the nicest person in the world, have a pure, good heart with good intentions, and never do or say mean things to anyone to try and disparage them. But there will be someone somewhere that doesn't like you. And you can ask yourself, what did I do? I haven't done anything. Well, they're just a hater. And the problem isn't with you, beloveds. It's with them. So when I find people that are just mean and nasty, and they don't have to be mean and nasty to me, if I see people who are mean and nasty to other people for no reason, I don't want to fool with them. If you just don't like certain people just because of who they are and how they carry themselves, and there's nothing wrong with them, they're not a mean, hateful person, they're always positive and upbeat, and you don't like them, well, that's because you're low vibrational. So all I have to do is see you treat these other people that way. I don't want to fool with you. I don't want to fool with you because I don't need the negative energy. None of us do. But let me continue. So, for example, we were talking about triggers. So, for example, if you're abnormally disgusted by a lazy person, While everyone else is not affected by this person's laziness, you may be triggered by laziness. A lot of triggers stem from qualities that are within us, but we've disowned at some point growing up. And the fact that we can't see this quality in ourselves means that it's within the shadow. Since the shadow wants you to consciously acknowledge it, one of the ways it can get your attention is via projection. Projection. That's absolutely the key. That is what it is. A lot of people who have low vibrational energy and just have nefarious ways of thinking, they have negative patterns of thought and all of that. Sometimes their shadow self that they have not worked on, and if they thought they were working on it, they were wrong. Those people will project themselves onto others. They'll say, well, oh, I don't like so-and-so. They're just no good. Oh, they're always hating. And they've never even seen the person hate, and no one else has ever told them the person hates. They could say, I don't like them. You know, they're always doing too much. They do the most. What are they doing besides being themselves? Now, some people do the most, but what I'm saying is, if people are saying things about someone that is not true, then that's likely what they are. That's likely a problem that they have within themselves. And that's why we need to do our shadow work continuously. However, the very fact that it triggers you into feeling disgust is evidence of self-hate. I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. That is all a part of self-hate. It's like racist people. You know, racist people don't like another group of people just because of the way the other people look. Why is that? That's because it's hate. They're mad because those other people look the way they want to look. 9 times out of 10, it's the truth. Because otherwise, why would you care? Why would you care that someone has dark skin? That someone's a black person or a white person or an Asian person, a Mexican person? Why would you care? Why would you care? Why would you go around just, belittling people, saying mean things to disparage people just because of the way they look, the color of their skin, something that none of us can help, except for those of us who bleach, clearly. But at the end of the day, why would you do that unless you're just a hater? Why would you sit there and talk about people having big lips and then go and get your lips enhanced? Why would you do it? But see, that's all self-hate. People who hate themselves project their own anger and insecurities onto others. That's why we have something known as racism. Okay? Because people who are racist, they're just not happy with themselves. If they were, they would not be worried about other people. That's how that goes. Okay? That's how that goes. Now, here's another thing. The mind rejects what it believes it is not. Shadow work is learning to love the parts we've rejected. Now, when you find triggers and integrate those qualities into your personality, they lose the power. At that point, those things lose the power over you. You no longer will be emotionally affected. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh, I just got triggered. I got to get up out of here. Oh, I'm triggered. I can't listen to this. That's because you have a problem, especially when you can't listen to the truth. If you can't listen to the truth, that means you want to live a life of lies. That means you want people to only say things that you like and agree with, so no one can say anything disagreeable to you ever. That's delusional. That's delusional, because at some point in life, someone's going to say or do something we don't like or disagree with. But how do you respond to that? How do you respond to that? If someone is telling you something about yourself that is absolutely true and you don't want it, you don't want to hear it, and it makes you angry or triggered, you have a problem. You see, when someone is giving you constructive criticism, the good thing about it is that it's supposed to be beneficial to you. Their reasoning for giving it to you is to help you. This is a person who cares about you. Now, some people will say negative things about you just because they don't like you. They want to make you feel bad, but you have to know the difference. It's up to you to do your due diligence and know the difference. But some people don't want to hear constructive criticism, no matter how nicely you say it. They don't want to hear it, but they can talk to people crazy and think that people are supposed to put up with their BS. They can hear it, and then get upset and then they'll deny it. Oh, that's not me. Oh, I don't act like that. But I'm telling you that you do. You see, sometimes we don't see things about ourselves because it comes from inside. Okay, it comes from inside. And when it comes from the inside, it's projected through our actions and things that we say. So therefore, other people on the outside looking in can see what's on the inside. People can let you know what's on the inside of them by the things they say and do. And so when you're telling someone something that's truthful about themselves, and though it may not be something good, it may be something negative about them, but you're telling them the truth, and they get upset and triggered, and they start denying it, that's because they don't want to hear the truth. That's because they are not doing shadow work. That's because they don't want to change. They want to continue to be the person they are, and they just don't want anyone to complain about it. That's how that goes. Now, doing the shadow work, of course, is worthwhile. You know, you learn more by doing your shadow work. You learn more about yourself. You learn to start realizing whether or not you're projecting, whether you have insecurities about things that you didn't even think about. You have securities that you know that you have, but you may subconsciously have some that you don't even realize that you have. And that may manifest in different ways in things that you do or say, how you behave, how you treat others. The second way you know that your shadow work is working is you stop blaming other people. Because people who, like I said, narcissistic sociopaths, you know, those people tend to blame other people for whatever they do wrong. And they always have an excuse. And that's just so annoying for me. There's always an excuse. When you say something to them that they did or said that was wrong, and you express your distaste for it, and then they make all these excuses and blame it on somebody else. They don't want any accountability. If you have no accountability for your own foolishness, then you're not doing the shadow work. And if you think you are, it's not working. One of the greatest gifts that you get from doing your shadow work is emotional maturity. Do you know how immature it is for you to allow someone else to say or do something, not even directly to you, but just say or do something in general, and it ticks you off? Why are you mad? Why are you so upset and bothered? You know? But that's because some people are not doing the shadow work. They're not doing it. So they're triggered by almost anything, no matter how minuscule it is. Now, you take your responsibility for your own happiness and satisfaction. And the more developed your self-love is, the less you rely on other people to make you happy. Here's the thing. I told you before, you should never rely on other people to make you happy. You should never. Dan said, teach queen. Thank you, beloved. You should never rely on other people for your own happiness. Because here's the thing. If someone brings happiness to your life, if someone gives you happiness and brings it to you, what happens when they leave? What happens if the relationship ends? You break up. The person, God forbid, dies, passes away. What are you going to do then? You see, you don't find happiness in other people. You have to first find happiness in yourself. Other people should only add to your happiness, not bring you happiness. And also, there's something that we have called an inner joy. It's like an inner peace. There's a difference between happiness and joy, as I told you before. Joy comes from within. No one should be able to steal your joy. But we get happiness out of doing things that we enjoy, things that we love, that we like, being around people that we love and we enjoy being around. Those things make us happy. But those things can be taken away. Joy is on the inside. That's right. Hundia said, love your own company. Absolutely. Now, this is important because many, if not most people, rely on others to make themselves feel happy and fulfilled. This leads to people trying to control the lives of other people. You ever saw someone in a relationship where the person was possessive and controlling? That's because they are relying on this person to bring them happiness. Oh, if they leave me. Oh, if somebody comes and takes their attention away from me. What if they find somebody better than me? You have those doubts and those thoughts and those insecurities when you are relying on someone else to bring you happiness. But if you're happy with yourself from the inside out, you don't worry about those things. That's what you don't do. So the following is a list of beliefs that immature people mistake for feelings. Now, I want you to pay attention. Betrayal, abandonment, disappointment, humiliation, isolation. Those are not emotions. Those are beliefs. Those are things that you feel about actions that people take. Immature people believe these are emotions, and they're not. Instead, it's a list of beliefs that are created at some point created to point the blame. Okay? You know, people who are low vibrational, they always have excuses. They always have excuses, and they always want to point the finger of blame at anyone other than themselves. For example, anger comes from the belief that you should be treated fairly, expected honesty, and believe yourself to be insulted by a betrayal. Well, that's all immaturity. By performing shadow work, you see, you grow in consciousness and love. Love is the highest vibration. Remember that? Fear is the lowest, and then anger. Now, a light among shadows. There's a book that I once read, A Light Among Shadows, a guide to self-love, right? And it was a pretty good book. And in fact, I'm thinking myself, thank you, Christ. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, beloved. It says, happy to have found this channel. Thank you. So here's the thing. I'm thinking about doing a shadow work book, because at the end of the day, this is something that's very beneficial. Like I said, it's something that we all should be doing because we all have been through different things in life, and we all can stand to improve. No matter how good you are at this point, there's always room for improvement. No matter what we're doing, we can always do more. And that's if you want to. Now, the third way to know if your shadow work is truly working, you stop judging other people. You realize that judging other people is self-sabotage in some cases. Okay, in fact, when you judge others, you're preventing yourself from developing in that area in which you judge. So this is absolutely true. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of how judging others can backfire. You could say that someone is fat, okay? Oh, he's too fat or she's too fat. Look at them, they're overweight. You can poke fun at fat people or try to body shame fat people or whatever. And then something happened to you, God forbid, you get in an accident, you break your leg, anything happens, you fall ill or whatever. And then you gain all this weight because you can't get out and walk. You're not active because you're ill. And you're sitting at home for weeks and weeks, maybe even months, and you're just eating. Before you realize it, now you're overweight. But you were the same person that was clowning fat people. But now you're one of those people that you clowned. And so now how do you feel about yourself? Well, now I'm sure that since you already have complained about fat people, and now you look at yourself and you're fat, well, you're likely going to have self-esteem issues. You're likely going to have insecurities. It's self-sabotage in some cases. Okay, now you can judge people for certain things that they do or how they behave and whatnot, as far as I'm concerned, because the Bible says judge righteously. And so it should be for a good reason. Okay, that crazy Bishara said, Queen, I ain't gonna lie. That's hard to do, LOL, but I'm always trying to be objective with my criticism. Well, some things are hard to do, beloved. But see, that's the thing. Things that are hard to do are the things that we need to do. Because that shows that we have determination, dedication, and discipline. The 3 Ds. Okay? That's what that shows. We have determination, dedication, and discipline. And so disciplined people No matter how difficult something is, they can get themselves to do it because they are disciplined. They have trained their mind to lead and trained their body to follow. Now, here's the thing. The fourth way that you can tell that your shadow work is working, you're attracted to healthy people and healthy relationships. You like positivity and high vibrations. You don't want to be around negative people anymore. If you're still hanging out with negative, low vibrational, pessimistic people, well, then the shadow work may not be working for you. You see, because shadow work helps you to see through your own BS. It does. It helps you to see through the parts of yourself that are just low vibrational, that are negative. Now, you don't feel helpless anymore. No more dysfunctional patterns and bad relationships. Now, because here's the reason. Not that you don't meet bad people, but you will be less tolerant of it. If you're in a bad relationship, whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship, when you start doing the shadow work and it starts to kick in and it's working, you're not going to be in those relationships. If you have a person that you've been dealing with and you consider them a friend and you start to realize that they really are not treating you like a friend, you'll eventually leave them alone, leave them on the wayside. If you're in a relationship and you start seeing that the person is not showing you the same attention and affection and respect that you're showing them, when your shadow work is working, you will leave them by the wayside. Okay? That's what you'll do. Because your higher consciousness is not going to allow you to just sit there and be, complicit or just sit there and allow you to be perfectly fine with being treated like crap. It's not going to allow you to do that. It's going to tap you on your shoulder and be like, look, it's time for us to move on. Okay? You tried it. It didn't work. It's getting a little low vibrational. It's time for us to go. We're moving on to bigger and better things. That's what your shadow will be telling you once you start doing the work. Okay? So we just have to learn these things over time. You'll no longer bother with people who are still dealing with a wounded inner child or people who aren't aware of their shadow sadomasochistic desires. You will be so high vibrational. You won't deal with people who just sit there and lie blatantly to your face, who just keep up mess, who gossip behind your back, who are always doing something malicious to other people, who always hold grudges and want to go out and enact revenge. You don't want to hang around those people. Those are all low vibrational things. And here's the thing. I don't feel like I ever have to engage in revenge and things of that nature because the universe does it for me. There's something called karma, and I absolutely believe in it. Whatever you put out is what comes back. If you have a negative, nefarious energy, that's what you're going to attract, and that's what's going to come back to you. Some people constantly have problems in their lives. They always are miserable. They always have something bad going on. Every time you look up, they have another problem, and they're like, oh, it's always something. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Well, this is true. And sometimes it's because of who the person is and what they do and what they allow into their psyche and how they behave and treat other people. That's what it is in some cases. Thank you, Dan, for your super sticker and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, some people, they just don't want to change. They don't want to look at their own flaws and say, you know what, this is what needs fixing. And they don't want to hear about it. They don't want you talking about it and pointing it out to them. At the end of the day. Now, the fifth way, life is a dream and you're living and loving it. At some point, you're going to realize that everything is one interconnected being. You won't be afraid to go after your ambitions. You won't be afraid to fail because you know that failure should just prepare you better for the next step. When you look at where you messed up, then you know what areas you need to strengthen or what you need to do to succeed the next time. We all fail at some point in life with one thing or another, but failure isn't the end unless you allow it to be. Now, because you'll realize that fear is what separates you from everything else, which is a self-deception, false evidence appearing real. Fear is a lack of love. Fear is evidence of you projecting. In fact, fear is a remnant of your inner child's wounds and lack of maturity. When you accept oneness and that the world will meet you wherever. That's when the world starts to meet you wherever you are. You feel more happy and alive and vibrant, and you can enjoy the ride on this thing that we call life. And so this is absolutely true. Now, mind you, it doesn't mean for you to throw away your ambitions, your responsibilities. It's actually the opposite. You see, it allows you to act on those things from a place of love and understanding rather than a place of fear. Okay? Rather than a place of fear. So, with that all being said, I'm going to show you all some of these videos. Thank you, Crystal, for your super sticker donation to the channel, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings to you. So now I'm going to show you all some videos. Now, this first video is Plies. Now, I like Plies because he's fun. He's always laughing and smiling. How many of you notice that Plies is always happy? He's always laughing. You don't see him out here fussing, getting into drama like some of these rappers out here just being nefarious, cursing people out. You don't see him doing that, do you? Plies is always happy and vibrational. And I saw a video today that he did on his TikTok channel, and I thought it was appropriate for this live because he was giving some good information. And I want you all to pay attention. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. Put this up on the screen.
I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. They was asking me, man, every time I see you, you just, you're always in a good mood. You always by yourself. You're always happy. And it's like I told them, I got a certain way I look at life. And I've always told myself this. Well, not always, but I recently told myself this. I said, when you born, from the time you born until you 18 or 19 years old, somebody is responsible for taking care of you. When you get in your 60s and beyond, somebody is, in most cases, taking care of you then. So from your 20s to your 60s, that's only 40 years that you got here on this earth to really live life. And that's best case scenario. That's just no health issues, no, fatal tragedies. You got 40 years here, man, to really live and enjoy life. And when I started looking at life that way, I said, ain't no way in hell I can let nobody stress me. Ain't no way in hell I finna be going back and forth with nobody. Ain't no way in hell I finna have people around me that's draining me and my energy. It's just no way in hell. And I knew I had to choose either them or me. And I'm gonna choose me every goddamn time. So if you don't take nothing else from this, just understand, man, from when you born until you 18 and 19, somebody taking care of you. When you get in your 60s and beyond, somebody taking care of you. So you really only got from your 20s to your 60s, which is 40 years, to really live life. You better live it.
And that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And I'm sorry, I was calling Crystal Krys, Krys. Whatever was I thinking? That's short for Crystal, so it's Chris. Okay, I never saw it spelled that way, beloved. But anyway, some of y'all have some strange names. That's not one, but I'm just saying sometimes you all have crazy names that are spelled crazy. So, but so listen, there was no lies detected, like some of you said in the chat. Absolutely, everything he said was true. And I have told you that in different words. For example, when he says you only have from 20 to 60, to really enjoy yourself, that's 40 years. What have I told you all? I told you all that on a tombstone, when a person dies, there's 2 dates on there. And that's the year of their birth and the year of their death. And in between, there's just a small dash. And that dash is small because that's how much time you have here. Just a twinkling of an eye, just a small fraction of time that we're here. Even if you live to be 100, that's still a short time on this earth. It may not seem like it because most people die before they ever live to be 100. But in reality, that's just a short while. This earth is millions of years old. And so if you only live to be 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, that's good. But that's not a long time. And just think about the people who don't even live to get old. A lot of younger people want to call people old when they get mad at them or whatever, try to shame people or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's a blessing. It is a blessing to grow old because you could have been gone a long time ago. So you have to live your dash. Like I've told you all before, that little small time that you're here, that's your dash. From the time you're born to the day you die. There's not a lot of space in between. So while you're here, it would behoove you to live your dash. Don't waste your time with people who bring you negativity, who take away your happiness, people who just always have something pessimistic to say, have negative thoughts, who project themselves onto you, who are so paranoid and concerned and fearful that you're going to do something nefarious to them. Why do they feel that way? Because that's who they are. Do you think for a moment, beloveds, that happy people go around fearful, expecting someone to do dirt to them? They don't. You couldn't even be happy if you went around thinking that way. You wouldn't even be content. You see, the people who go around so worried and so paranoid are usually the people that are doing things to others. And so they feel like somebody's going to enact revenge on them. It's just like, so-called dominant society, for lack of a better term. So dominant society, some of them, the racist people among them, they will look at us and they'll think to themselves, some of them will, think to themselves that if we ever come to power, and by we, I mean people of my skin tone, if they feel that if we ever come to power, we'll do to them things that they have historically done to us, when that isn't even the truth. When that isn't even the truth, because most of us, now though some of us are absolutely nefarious, but most of us collectively as a race, as a nation of people, are very humane, loving, kind people. That's just a fact. We wouldn't want to go out lynching people and hanging them from trees, ripping down their pants to embarrass and humiliate them, removing their privates and all that stuff, putting their children in the swamp with alligators for bait. We wouldn't do those things, but they think we would. Some people think that we would do those things, you see, and that's the racist people. And they think that we would do those things because they know that's what they have done. It's called projection. That's what that is. It is classic projection. You see, because it would never be in my heart to do any of those things to anyone at the end of the day. My mind doesn't go to those places. Now, at the end of the day, what I would like for the racist ones to do is just leave us alone. Just go your way and let us go ours. That's all I need from you. I don't need to enact revenge and do to you what you did, and all of these things. I don't want to, because I'm not that person. And I don't want to be likened to people who would do those things. Okay, Alice says, so right, Queen. Thank you, beloved. So now let me show you another video. Now this video is interesting to me because this young lady, I want you all to pay attention, and I'm not discriminating, but this young lady, she's a witch. Okay, she says that she's a witch, and I'm going to show you all the video, and then I want you all to put in the chat, what is it about her that would let you know, if I hadn't told you, that she's possibly a witch? What is it about her, whether it's her looks, something she says, the way she moves, her behavior? What is it about her that would lead you to suspect that she was a witch, even if I had not said it? Okay, so I'm going to put this on the screen. Now, she gives good advice on some of her videos that I've seen, but nonetheless, she's a witch. And when I noticed certain things about her, I said, yeah, definitely a witch. Okay, and she's a self-admitted witch. I'm not calling her that. That's what she says she is. Please pay attention.
If you're a baby witch or just new to the spiritual shit, shadow work is not optional. I know all the mistresses of Loki and Lucifer are going to tell y'all otherwise, but that's because they operate out of privilege and not out of power. Shadow work is the process of growing awareness of self and building understanding behind that. The actions that we take thereafter is the actual healing. Shadow work is not just about dissecting the perceivable bad. Sometimes it's learning why we have shame behind things that are actually good. My triggers, my toxic ideologies, my desires, my goals, my shame, my guilt, my resentment, my intrigue. What the fuck am I even angry about? I have to dissect everything. How is that influencing me internally? And how is that making me influence my external? And am I okay with that shit? And if not, how would I give that advice if I were giving it to a fucking friend? It's only easier to give your friends advice because you're holding them accountable for their problem. When you're dealing with your own problem, you get to treat it like a secret. So that means you get to fuck off with it because you're the only person that knows you have a problem in the first place. So sometimes stepping back and pretending that it's somebody else's problem allows us to bypass that I don't know how to fix that mode in our brain. Oh, we got a solution. We just struggle to implement. And those are two separate things. See part 2.
So did anyone notice anything about her? That Crazy Beach Air says she's talking fast. She certainly was. She certainly was. I talk fast sometimes too, but I try not to unless need be. So with that all being said, is there anything that you all noticed about her presentation that may have led you to think that she was possibly a witch or not as spiritually in tune? Okay, that Crazy Beach Aries said the astrology tapestry. No, that's not it. Alice said confusion and talking fast. That can be confusing. I wouldn't say that's why she's a witch, though. Everything she says consistent, says Jonah. I'm going to tell you what it is that made sense to me. The first thing I noticed about her is her profanity. She was using profanity when she didn't need to. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with cursing. There isn't. If you want to curse, go ahead. But most people curse when they're angry, when they get upset. If you drop something on your toe, you might yell out, "F, that hurt," right? Most people, Hundia said, "Queen, my spirit tuned her out as soon as I sense the energy." Okay, here's the thing. You may curse at specific times when you get angry, like I said, which is what most people tend to do. But people who curse in a regular conversation for no apparent reason other than they clearly love those words, that's low vibrational. That's absolutely low vibrational. Now, all of us can be low vibrational at some point. We can't always resonate on high vibrations. That's not realistic. We get mad sometimes, we get sad. You know, we suffer grief. Sometimes we may feel depressed or sorrow. That's normal. It's the way you behave when you have those feelings that's important. But here's the thing. The fact that she was using all of those profanities, the F word she said about 2 or 3 times, when she's just giving a presentation. I can't even take people like her seriously. When people sit up there and they're supposed to be kicking knowledge and they're using a profanity here, profanity there, here, there, profanities and everywhere profanities, I can't take you seriously. I cannot take you seriously. I try to in some cases, but at the end of the day, your presentation says a lot to me. If you're supposed to be so spiritual and trying to uplift and empower people through the power of your words, I would suggest that you choose better words. That you choose better words. Okay? At the end of the day, that's just how I see it. Because if I'm sitting there listening to someone, I'm trying to raise my vibrations and I'm trying to raise my level of consciousness, and every other word is a curse word, specifically the F word, I'm not listening to you. You can't help me raise anything because you're low vibrational. You see, curse words are low vibrational words. And it's always interesting to see people who use those low vibrational words when they claim to be speaking positively. Crystal said her energy was weird. I don't know. It was. I absolutely get it. Absolutely. But like I said, sometimes she does give some good information, but at the end of the day, she's a witch. Okay? She's a witch. So, and I don't deal in witchcraft. That's what I don't do. That Crazy Beach Aries said, boom. Not go, Aries. Now, here's the thing. At the end of the day, you know, people talk the way they're comfortable talking or whatever, but I just really am turned off when people are cursing every other word. I'm sorry. I just can't listen. I can't listen. I just can't do it. That crazy bitch Eric said, I be cussing, queen. I be cursing too. I never said I don't, beloved. I be cursing too. But like I said, I curse if I'm angry. If I get mad about something, I'm going to curse. But you will not catch me out in public just cursing like a sailor, because to me, that's not ladylike. That's not ladylike. Now, a man can go out there and curse like a sailor, and maybe nobody's going to say anything about him. But women cursing like sailors, there's certain things that I was taught growing up that women shouldn't be doing. You should never be caught, you know, acting less than a lady in public. You should never be out there drunk, stumbling over and all of that, getting sloppy drunk. That's just so tacky to me. There are some things that women just shouldn't do. Cursing, listen, there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with cursing. But most logical people curse when they're angry. Not just doing a regular presentation. I mean, just picture me sitting up here telling you all about shadow work and every other word is the F word. Ella said, hate people always using scripture to do something wrong, so usually don't disagree with them. So usually won't disagree with them. You know, some people absolutely do use the scripture. And I'm glad you brought that up, Alice. I'm glad you brought that up. That made me remember my thought. Because I had a thought and it slipped my mind. So yes, some people use the scripture for nefarious purposes. What I was going to say was that young lady classifies herself as a witch. Well, at the end of the day, witches use some of the same tools that spiritualists use. They use stones and crystals too. They open their third eyes too. They do some of the same things we do. They do shadow work. But at the end of the day, that is why some people, specifically Christians, will tend to say that these things are demonic. They're satanic. They're occult practices. When occult actually just means hidden knowledge, hidden information. So you have to be careful because anyone can take something meant for good and use it for something bad. You can take crystals and heal yourself. You can take crystals and use them while you meditate to raise your vibrations, you know, to align the chakras and different things. Some crystals can be used to make elixirs, right? And I don't suggest doing that unless you absolutely know what you're doing, because some crystals are toxic, so you can't use those. But there are certain crystals that can be used for elixirs, for healing and things like that. So that's what spiritual people do. But witches also do some of those things. But you see, the thing is, some of these people who practice the dark arts, like black magic and things like that. Now, all witches don't practice black magic. Some of them call it white magic. I don't know why the white magic is good and the black magic has to be bad. Please pay attention. But some people use their witchcraft for good, or so they think, or they say. But some people absolutely use it for nefarious purposes. But I believe in karma. And when you're doing black magic, the same things you put out will come right back to you at some point or another. That's just the way the universe works. But you can take good things, that are meant for good, and use for something bad. Like I've told you before, you can take fire and use it to cook your food, to warm your home, to light a campfire, to roast marshmallows and make s'mores or whatever. But someone else who's nefarious can take that same fire and go burn down a building, commit arson, set someone on fire, God forbid. But I'm just saying. So you can always take something meant for good and use it for bad. It's all about intentions. What are your intentions? Okay, now this last video I'm going to show, this is a pastor, and he's really giving some good advice as far as I'm concerned. And I believe this is the guy that was once married to Megan Good. I just happened upon his video on TikTok today.
You don't have to respond to foolishness. This is why there's some people, you got to, instead of their name, you got to put trouble. So when they text, they call. Come on, who am I talking to? You know. No, I'm not answering that. I'm not, no, did you get my text? Yeah, I got it. Yep. Yeah, I sure did. Well, why didn't you hit me back? Because I'm taking authority over my response. And if I responded to you, I would have gone down to your level. I had to stop for a minute. Take authority over your response. Don't just let anybody provoke a response from you. Because what I know is a true statement. Misery loves company. And somebody like Eliab is trying to put David down because he feels down. If Eliab felt up, if Eliab felt like a champion, he wouldn't be talking about David. His questioning of David reveals his own insecurity. People want you to feel insecure in an area they're insecure. How dare you have the confidence to believe that even in a strike, your career is going to thrive? How dare you have the confidence to believe that you're about to get a deal when ain't nobody giving out deals? How crazy are you to believe that you can still keep auditioning when nobody's getting an audition? The person that speaks negative is revealing how they feel about their state. And if I can't be happy sometimes, they're like, you can't be happy. This is why you got to be careful who you respond to.
Absolutely true. Some people don't want to see others happy because they're not happy. Do you all remember the story I told you all about? And I tried to find an article on it, and I couldn't find it. I actually saw the story years ago on the ID channel. But there was a teen. He was about 16, 17 years old, and his neighbor was his so-called best friend. And every day at 6 o'clock, this neighbor and his family would all sit down and have dinner together. Well, most people don't sit down and have dinner together. At my house, we don't. We eat dinner at different times. I might want to eat at 6. Reno may want to eat at 5 or later. But they were like a perfect little family, even though we know no one's perfect. But what I'm saying is the person who was hating on them felt like they were the ideal perfect family. And that's why he was angry. He was supposed to be friends with the son. That was supposed to be his best friend. But he would go to their house. They would invite him for dinner, and he'd see the way they're all engaging with one another, having a good conversation, laughing, and high vibrational. And every day at 6 o'clock, they sat down and had their dinner together. This guy broke into their home one night to kill all of them. He killed his best friend first, his so-called best friend. He then killed the parents, or actually, I think he killed the parents first. Yeah, he did. But then he went to his best friend's room and killed him. And I believe he killed them all with an axe. What a terrible way to go. What a painful thing to endure. The only one who survived was the sister. That's because the sister, I believe she was 18. She had been gone off to college. She just happened to come home that weekend, and he didn't know she was in the house. So she was able to run out after she heard the noise and commotion. She ran out of the house to get help. When this guy was captured and the police asked him during the interview, what was your motive? Why would you do this? Something so horrible to a family that welcomed you into their home and fed you. You know what he said? He said that he did it because they were too happy. Because they were too happy. You know why their happiness bothered him? Because he had demons. When someone gets upset about other people being happy, they have demons. Demons are low vibrational entities. Demons thrive on misery and on people's fear and chaos and pandemonium. They cannot reside in a place where there's peace and love and happiness. Demons come to create chaos, like the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And so at the end of the day, someone that is so bothered by people's happiness is very much low vibrational and a demon. They have demons. A good friend of mine told me just the other day that when they were in high school, there was a person that they were friends with. And one day this person asked them, why are you always so happy? You're just too nice. You're always so happy. You know, that's just not normal. It's not normal for someone who resonates on a low vibration. It's not normal for someone who has demonic energy, who's plagued with demons. It's not normal for someone who's filled with darkness. To see you with a light shining bright that makes you happy and gleeful and joyous and makes other people around you happy and joyous, that bothers them. at the end of the day. So if you have people like that in your life, it would behoove you to deal with them from a distance. Because let's not forget, energy is contagious. And you may say, well, they can't rub their energy off on me, their negative energy, but yes, they can. You see, people that have this negative energy, when they come around people who are happy and exude positive energy, they can absolutely put their negativity on you by doing little things like triggering you. When they know your triggers, when they know how to tick you off and push your buttons, they will purposely do these things because they want to make you upset. They want to bring down your vibration. They want you to literally stoop to their level. I remember when I was in high school and I got into it with this girl one time named Marietta. Her and her friend Tiffany, they wanted to jump me in class. One of them pushed me as we were going out the door, and I turned around and dropped my books, and I was ready to get into it. But my teacher, whom I had a lot of respect for, Mr. Olagus, he got between us and he looked at me and he said, Queen, don't do it. Don't stoop to their level. Because he knew that I was not that type of student. He knew that they were always nefarious. They were always picking on people. They tried to be bullies. They would always laugh at people, pick on people, just always keeping up mess. And I wasn't like that. I just sit there and do my work because that's what I was there for. But at the end of the day, don't stoop to their level. It would only be years later when I became an adult that I really understood what that means. Don't stoop to their level means don't let someone lower your vibration. Don't let them cause you to act out of character or in a way that is unbecoming of you. That's what you should never do. Think before you speak and mind how you react to certain things. Don't let people knock you off your square. Alice says, demons will attack you when you have a positive light out of nowhere. Yes, they will absolutely. They will absolutely come out of the woodwork because they want to lower your vibrations. Your happiness bothers them. So that's what that's all a part of. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, beloveds. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again, and I hope that you all enjoyed this and got something out of it, okay? But make sure that you're doing the work, doing your shadow work, not just lighting sage and, listening to the Tibetan bong and all of those things, but actually doing the work. It is absolutely going to benefit you in the long run. Okay, so with that all been said, I'm going to upload a spiritual live for the non-members. And I think I'm going to put up the one about the rituals, about communion. And so I think I'll put those up. Okay, Claudette says, thank you, Queen. You're welcome, beloved. All right, so I'm going to probably put that up and have it post or premiere at 5:30. Okay, if you all want to watch it. Many of you have already seen it because this is a previously recorded video. This is something I already shown. Okay, so with that all been said, and listen, some of the videos that I do for members later on down the line, I show them to non-members. But as far as my esoteric information, I'm not going to be showing that to the non-members. And also from now on, the exclusive interviews, I'm not going to be showing that to the non-members. People will have to have memberships to see those things. In the past, I have shown some of the interviews, but I'm not going to be doing that because why do that for free when you all pay for it? So I'm not going to be doing that. Okay. Orange Moon said, excellent. Thanks for the confirmation, Queen. You're welcome, beloved. Eileen says, Queen, this is good. Thank you. You're welcome, beloved. Queen, I had to show that light at death of a 41's coworker who said she was looking for me. I had to show that light at death. So I'm confused, beloved. Are you saying that the coworker passed away? Is that what you're saying? Oh, that Crazy Beach Aries liked the Ahmadiyyah interview. Thank you. I'm glad you did. I loved it too. It was very interesting. So listen, we're going to have more interviews coming up soon. I'm going to have God Asir back on here. Do you all remember God Asir? When I had him on here, very knowledgeable about metaphysical things. I'm going to have him back on here. And I want to get my holistic doctor on here, but she's always so busy. I had one holistic doctor on here Dr. Moni Amandla. She's a spiritualist for the celebrities and all of that, a spiritual advisor. But I have another one that I want to bring on here. And I've talked to her about it maybe a month or so ago, but she's pretty busy. I'm going to see if I can book her on here, though. So with that all being said, everyone enjoy the rest of this lovely day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.